We have Dr. Andy Galpin.
Let's go.
Dr. Galpin, the Galps, man. Dr. Galpin. Now, I believe, is it bioenergetics he has his PhD in? I think it's bioenergetics. He's like he's like very rare. There's not many people who have a PhD. Yeah. And I'm not sure if he even has multiple, but what a force right now in performance medicine, precision medicine, just trying to really call out the bullshit, driven to make sure that what people are putting in their lives are actually make an account for it. You're not spending your money on crap that doesn't help you. He's always vetting. I'm listening to a podcast of his right now, and it's funny because he brings up a supplement to talk about, and then he reminds himself, he's like, by the way, I freaking hate supplements. He's like, 90% of them are garbage out there. Yeah. He's like, the only reason I'm talking about this one is because I have talked for 3 months to this like lead scientist of this supplement. I really want to make sure that it's good. So I trust his insight. He's got an incredible mind, and it's fun to listen to him talk. Some of the things, there's a lot on here that he had said. Do you want to talk on them? Yeah, please. Thank you for that.
He said, prove it on them, objectively show me I did this thing. I paid this money and now I got better. So I think just even to that point, a lot of people will say you'll get this result or you'll say you get this, especially in a service standpoint.
Right.
But until you see the results, you see the testimonies, you can walk them through what the next steps are, and then having look back on either pre-post, do they have better range of motion? Do they have less pain? Not only just chiropractic or service care, but also supplements as well. So I like that, going straight to the point, cutting out the BS, and if you're going to say something, go through with it and make sure it happens.
You back up your claims, right?
Yes.
100%.
Tell me you're going to help me. Don't tell me you're going to help me. I want you to help me. Show me you're going to help me. I'm paying all this money. I love it. Exactly.
Next one was, you want to be grading your clients against your peers, not against the room full of synthetic data.
Ooh, that was
Now, synthetic data, Doc, you might have a better perspective on this. You could probably say that better than I can, but it's interesting with AI coming down the road on some of the stuff that is coming out of the GPTs, the agents there. Do you want to speak on that?
Yeah, so the way he explained it was synthetic data in certain industries is very helpful. But when it comes to synthetic data coming from humans, there is so much, we'll call it misinformation that's built in that synthetic data. Because the data itself, there are some research papers out there that are fake. And so if it takes that, replicates it, you're starting to build now data off of data that already was fake, okay? So there's that point of it. And then he said there are GPTs out there that are creating other GPTs, which then create other GPTs that they're trying to, we'll call it, fast forward building these AI softwares and agents. But to do that, they're cutting corners. And it's just rebuilding and duplicating crap data that's it's not really real and it's not helpful. And as we get to this point, there's going to be, and there already is, like I think at one point in some industries, there's 70% of the data they have on the industry is now fake, it's now synthetic, which
it's incredible.
Like he said, in some industries it's okay, but when it comes to humans, it's not okay. We need real data and we need it all the time. And so he likes this feeling of, so when you grade your clients against your peers, it's more of, and not only your peers, but yourself. He loves the N of one. He loves the data of you versus now versus 6 months from now. And that's always going to be the most relevant to you. So I love that. I love that a lot.
Yeah, and there's one more, because I think this can blend in a little bit with that last one, but we can have these things, no more hiding behind claims. Let experts be the experts and hit the easy button as much as you possibly can. Yeah. I think that, again, goes back speaking to, you have to listen to the experts, doctors in the field. You can obviously get second opinions, third opinions, but if you have to rely on AI for specific conditions that you may have, even though it's somewhat decent, certain times for certain people, for certain conditions, I think there's some variability to that. Yeah. But even going back to that last point too, I know when we were put together certain podcasts, we asked that bring up certain studies, and we click on the study and it's it's a fake. It's nothing. It's a study not even related to what we're talking about.
And these GPTs will make it out of thin air without you even asking them to, because they're just it's feeling like it's helping you by giving you what you asked for, but it's very difficult sometimes to prompt a GPT to give you what you want.
So true.
And so when it says find me research on said XYZ, it maybe heard that and said just make up and give me research on XYZ, not look through PubMed, a high quality website for fun. It's just, and then next thing you know, you took that data and then now it remembers only what you gave it, and now you're just funneling it off that. So it's very difficult, but
Interesting.
So yeah, Corey, was there anything that you liked as far as those quotes?
Oh yeah, I honestly wasn't even really familiar with any of that stuff. I didn't really know how bad it was until he started talking about it. How they build data off of data that's not even real. How they just input hypothetical data into the computer and then they just get answers out of that based on what the computer or the AI thinks it's going to do, which is kind of scary if you're testing a product or you're testing something that could potentially hurt or benefit humans. We don't want fake research. We don't want fake answers. Again, is this going to help me or not? Like, we want real data, and human trials are always going to be the best trials.
100%. And I know there was a bunch of, like, when Andy Galpin, he brought up in his speech a bunch of different technologies that can help AI partially. I don't know, did you take a list of any of those?
I do have, let me see here. Yeah, the Vitality Blueprint, that was super interesting. Dan Garner and Andy Galpin, they were talking about how you can fill in the gaps based on your own data. So instead of relying on this AI data to say what is expected of you, you can actually see your data, where you're at on all aspects of your health and fitness, and then you can plug it into this software program that they've developed, and then you get real-time help on your specific, I don't want to say condition, but based on what you have going on. There's a program, a plan for you specifically, not the next guy in line. It's built directly for what's going on with you. And I thought that was super interesting. And talking to Dan about that at the Parker seminar, and he's such a cool dude, and I'm glad we got to have that little conversation with him. But yeah, definitely learned a lot, just that little chat with him and about the company and what they're doing in terms of trying to help people with their health, fitness, and all the stuff that everybody wants to optimize. So
That brings us to the first point, which is we're at the spot now of me versus me.
Yes.
Just like you said, we have these now models that we can measure ourselves with, whether it's, Dr. Galpin called it human sensor models. So AI that helps track your sleep, AI that tracks your diet, AI that tracks blood work. And then it gives you all of this just incredible information for yourself. What does that look like now? What can it look like in this amount of time? And then when you get there, how much have you improved and what does that look like? That, by and large, he is arguing, is the best way to get results for yourself than to put yourself in comparison to the average data that they have out there in regards to wearables, in regards to services, treatments, what have you.
100%. Yeah.
50% of the people in the room had health trackers, by the way.
It seemed way more than that.
It probably was,
And at our
but that's
conference,
incredible.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
It's a lot.
yeah, I think honestly, my personal opinion, I think it's good. I think we can see our data physically. It may not be 100% accurate depending on the device, but as long as we get a decent gauge for most people, ideally get your blood work and all that stuff through real data. Start collecting your own metrics so that you can build on that and optimize your own health. So I think checking your oxygen, blood pressure, heart rate, all that stuff on your watch device, your sleep, VO2 max, I even saw they have one. I don't know how accurate that is, but they have a watch that will test that on your runs and stuff. Yeah. So test your own metrics, get your own baseline levels, build off of that through trackers, whether it's a watch or a ring or whatever it may be. So I don't know. What do you guys think about devices?
I'm looking into that Aura ring. I really am. I've looked at it for now. I think I felt I could manage what I'm doing health-wise without wearables. But what I found was, after hearing what Galpin said about truly knowing yourself and of one, me versus me, what that can do for you in the future, having that data itself, that's what's powerful. Because we're going to talk about now the digital twin, digital twinning part of it. That's what I didn't have. Now I have that understanding, and now I know why that data is important.
It changes everything.
A digital twin is basically a simulated version of yourself on, we'll call it the internet maybe.
Or the collected data from your wearables
Yep.
to make this digital twin up.
So it's a digital version of whatever data you've been giving it for an amount of time. And that data now can be simulated against treatments and services and supplements and what have you. And then algorithmically, it can give you what supplements should you be taking through the data that they have. What diet should you be doing? How should you be fasting? Should you not be fasting? And we've been talking to, other than just Dr. Galpin, we've been talking to some other individuals who've been doing twinning.
Yes.
Some of them are like, how well will you do doing chemo? And is hyperbaric oxygen chamber something you should be doing?
Different modalities.
All these things.
Yeah.
Now that is efficient. It's going to save me time. And that's where I'm like, okay, I got to get a wearable. Yeah.
This is what you should do. Wow.
Yeah,
That's
it's
pretty interesting
incredible. And I think some of this stuff it's available, but it's improving on, especially you add AI onto this, give it 5 years, we're going to be in a whole nother world.
Yep.
Yeah,
For sure.
love that.
We talked about synthetic data. Did have a tidbit about improving sleep, which I thought was
yes.
interesting. He mentioned how in a closed room setting, you think about it, your windows are shut, your doors are closed. As you and maybe another individual or maybe some other family members, if you're in a bigger room sleeping together, you're all breathing out CO2. And what some people don't realize is if there is no good airflow through that area, that will raise by mid-sleep, towards the end of sleep. And if it gets over 900 parts per million, which is in the research kind of a level you want to make sure you're not over, sleep goes down. It degrades your sleep quality. And he says it's more common than you think. And I didn't even think about that. And so he talked about a company that he works with called Absolute Rest, which I believe is an AI tracking environmental wearable, and it can pick up that. And if you notice that it is higher, the CO2, then you need to figure out a way to, I can't remember how he said it. Was it just to improve air quality?
Improve functional sleep in itself, but there's a bunch of different things that you can
Try to
pay.
get
Better airflow. Crack a window or try to get a fresh supply of oxygen.
That's first time I heard that.
Yeah, to make this land, try to take, and he did this example with the whole crowd, take a breath in, hold that there as long as you possibly can. You'll start noticing people, it's harder for them to hold their breath. Imagine that in a room setting when waking up or not waking up and your poor quality sleep. It just, those small things definitely matter. That gave me a different perspective on closed room, not windows open, airflow, all that. It was interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I usually always sleep with my window cracked, at least. Okay. Yeah, usually that crack gets a little smaller towards the summer because it's freaking hot outside. But to that point, I didn't know that, but I just always have cracked my window. But that's super interesting stuff, something that most people don't think about. Yeah, we're breathing out CO2, but to how much? Am I really going to struggle breathing or have it affect my sleep? Just, yeah, okay. And then you see the research, and then it's actually really common and it can really affect your sleep.
And then lastly, I'll just throw out a few things that he uses now objectively for continuing to track N of1, me versus me.
Please.
The wearables, he threw out Whoop, threw out Aura. I believe he also mentioned...
It was an app that you can scan the food and it uploads all the metrics.
So that one was very easy. You take a picture of the food and it can just
Yes.
show you your macros given the size of the food, and I'm sure it, just through AI, which... I
So
know
helpful.
if you have used fitness apps before, going in, clicking every little thing to make sure, it can stop you from wanting to track your macros.
Honestly, it stopped me before.
Yes.
And as much as I want to start tracking, I would rather go to an app like that where I can just snap a picture, boop, and it knows exactly my portion size, it knows exactly my macros down to the micros. So that's.
And he even said, look, even if it's only 90% accurate, it's you versus you.
Yes.
So it doesn't have to be accurate for anybody else. This is just for you. And that's where you're going to win. Because you don't have to be 100% now. Because it's just you versus you. And so he goes, even at 90%, and he talked about how the studies of people tracking, or people thinking that they're tracking calories appropriately, and how he said like over 80% of them miss their mark when they don't know how to track. They don't know how to guess what calories are in what. And he goes, trust me, even that picture at 90% efficiency, way better than you just thinking about it on your own.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Super cool.
lastly, there's now a new 3D body scanner called Springbok, where we can get a 3D view of not only, like we used to have CT scans for 3D bone, but now we get it fully of tissue and muscle.
That's cool.
And he can see now, okay, you just got done, let's say post-op, you had some atrophy in the knee, around the knee. Your PT goes, yeah, looks like that knee is 100%. The muscle's back, it looks good. And he goes, show me. Is it big? Is it big enough? Is it the same size as the other leg now? You just telling me that, what is that? So he goes, now I can visualize it. And I take a picture of it. And guess what? We know that the vastus lateralis is now fully grown to where it was 50% before that. And he goes, I can show you that now. And guess what? Your outcomes are only going to get better because you're not lying and you're not guessing. Yes. Things like this. I love that. Healthcare is, it's flying right now. And to stay on top of it is difficult. There's going to be some crazy changes here in the next 5 years.
I think that's where Parker kind of is stepping in. They're implementing so many new technologies and strategies, and people from all domains, not just chiropractic. So they're getting a broad scope of healthcare, and it's super cool to see. And that's the reason I want to go there, because they have so many kind of people there.
Do you want to speak on what they're bringing in terms of like performance lab or any specifics?
Yeah, over the weekend they talked about the new Parker Human Performance Center, which is being built and ran by Dr. Andy Galpin, who we're talking about right now. Super cool. Supposedly this facility is going to be 65,000 square feet.
And to put that into perspective, that's half a Costco.
Yeah.
Costco is about 120,000. So think of how ginormous Costco is and just cut it in half. That's one performance center. Yeah.
The Performance Center. The Human Performance Institute is going to include a lot of high-tech, state-of-the-art technology that you really can't find anywhere else in the world. That's how they put it. So really new.
Some of it is like hasn't even been brought into humans yet.
Yeah, some of it, is going to be brand new. They teased it over the weekend, but I'm super excited to see. I don't know if they've started building it yet. I know it takes time and a lot of money. Super excited regardless, and I really can't wait to see.
I can't wait to come visit it once it's built.
Damn, man. Yep.
Absolutely.
Weekend trip, we're
Yeah,
coming.
baby.